So this book is really about the heroes of the book. It's about the reality, and then presenting you tools and ways that it is possible actually to do the transformation. It is about, I'll name you some of my beautiful heroes in the book. They are all real. It's about Rita, La Reina de la Papa, Jose, my 3 Peruvian favorite heroes who could not tap into their immovable wealth. Their savings were locked because they did not formally exist. They did not formally own their properties. This book is about Deborah Thomas, my African-American DC resident and friend, who I'm really sad again she's not here tonight, who was on welfare, was poor, but now belongs to the middle class. She's mobilized a transformation of real estate to real estate in her own neighborhood on 14th and W Northwest, around the corner. You don't have to go down south, it's over here. This book is about a lady called Ismini, a Greek lady, who, as we speak, still today, she fights in the Greek courts to prove ownership of her property. She holds titles, she holds registration certificates, all the 9 yards, but she fights in a weak property rights system. This book really is about the visionary private sector, the one who wants to engage and the one who believes that it is possible to do well and do good. So it does present a fresh look, how to release prosperity through property ownership, how to apply correct property rights reforms, how to apply correct institutional reforms, how to make money as a private entrepreneur and investors by creating value rather than by destroying value. The book does break the traditional segmentation in economic and legal analysis, in policy design and investing. And I'm going to ask you, I'm going to read you a little part which is also in the preface of the book. I'm going to beg you when you read this book to please leave your preconceptions behind and observe the actual effects of unreal estate among the rich and the poor, investors, citizens, and the state. Although some of what you'll see will be gloomy, as what I read to you a little bit earlier, but the road becomes an exciting one, offering opportunities for those in the public and the private sectors to open the door to unbound prosperity, if we all want to take this path. Thank you very, very much. Thank you for not leaving. Thank you for staying throughout the whole reading. In private or in public. And I wish to also let you know that after 8 o'clock we're all invited to go, by myself, to go to, how is it called?
It's called Teatro Goldoni, and it's actually across the street. It's 1909 K Street. So you can't miss it if you go across the street, and there'll be past hors d'oeuvres and
so we're talking about incentives. If you stay a little bit longer, and then we have the Q&A.
You're also available to sign books, right?
And I'm also available to sign books. Yeah, I'm not trying to put pressure on you buying books, but if you do, I'll be happy to sign them.
Question.
Please.
I don't know whether it's a useful analogy or not, but in the 1980s, one of Margaret Thatcher's very important reforms was to encourage people living in council houses belonging to the state to buy them.
Would you like to stand and make your point?
Well, I'm doing the camera too, and it's going to be hard to do that. So, and I'm just curious, have people studied the effect of it? The idea was to give people ownership rights, to give them pride, to do self-improvement, very much what you were talking about. And I wondered if people have studied that, whether that was something you looked at when you were working on this.
Yes, I did. The question was whether or not I studied the 1980s reforms that Margaret Thatcher did when she transformed the public housing, right, into private housing. It was extremely, I looked into that in terms of principles. I could not transform that method and transplant it because it was very British focused.
Sure.
But the principle is exactly the same. And as a matter of fact, when my boss said, "Over my dead body," I said, "Well, your favorite lady, she's done it over there. So we started this way, you know, we started working through that.
What I'm curious about, were the effects sort of similar? In other words, did it create, in a sense, create wealth and create more of a middle class and give people the pride of ownership in the UK? I mean, I read the principles.
Similar in the UK?
Exactly, yes.
I wouldn't be able to answer that question. Whether the effects were similar, I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes, please, John.
Hi, I'll stand up. Elena, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
The book and the culmination of so much work over the years. I'm very proud of what you've accomplished. I think this issue, for those of us who don't work in this field, as you do, seems to be one that applies mostly to quote-unquote third world economies, the underdeveloped or undeveloped world. So I'm intrigued by your application of the theory or the practice in a place like New Orleans. You started it in your presentation. Can you elaborate a little bit?
In the place like?
New Orleans.
New Orleans, yeah.
About New Orleans and what kind of, absence of property rights regimes do we have here in the United States?
Quite a lot, actually.
Elaborate, please.
Yeah, well, we have several wrinkles. In New Orleans, you have a system that is a little bit similar to a French system. It's a civil code tradition. So, but regardless of that, there is no central registry, and individuals hold their ownership through a piece of paper that they hold themselves. So although there may be a registry somewhere, that registry is not adequate enough to be able to publish the ownership. So if that piece of paper is lost, you're in trouble. It's hard for you to find a copy. It may exist, but this is a little bit what's happening in Ismini in Greece. She holds a piece of property, she sits on it, she holds a piece of paper, she holds 3 pieces of paper. There is a registry, but she holds them still. Yet, anyone can suggest that they're not hers. And it's a very similar system. Another example in the U.S. is not necessarily a lack of property rights, but a very bad application of those, with a lot of regulations that reduce the ability of full usage, which is what Deborah Thomas has done. So basically you have housing projects, right? And you're assigned to live in these projects, but you're assigned to live in these projects. You're not owing anything, and you get a subsidy. But what incentive do you have to improve it? What incentive do you have to get out of there and go somewhere else, since you have free lodging, So this is another wrinkle. I hope I answered.
You did. I guess one quick follow-up question. Do you have any sense as to whether or not, in the wake of the devastation in New Orleans, are there efforts underway there, since this stands out as a model, or in other cities in the U.S.?
Are there what? Are there
efforts underway to rectify this situation?
No.
Okay, interesting.
Because one of the importances, I think, of this book is to make aware that this is indeed that small little dot between your eyes. We're putting makeup, we're putting Botox, we're doing that small little dot between the eyes. You understand? If you get hit right there, you're dead. That's what I'm trying to explain.
It's not just a faraway problem, it's here at home.
It's here at home.
I just wanted to say that you're absolutely ravishing.
Yeah.